A lot of people have been using ChatGPT and Claude for their YouTube strategy, and while it's not a terrible idea, there can be some better ways to do this. And a lot of people are actually moving to Claude in order to do their YouTube strategy, mainly because of the whole development with Claude and ChatGPT recently, which I'll kind of go over. But one of these posts on X did really well, and you do have to be careful about this kind of stuff. So Tips Excel posted a kind of a post about how Claude can be your YouTube strategist, and I would love for this to be 100% true and accurate, but there's some things you've got to be very careful about here. Number one, it's talking about how to implement a lot of your philosophy and asking AI to essentially be your strategy alchemist here and your architect, your viral video idea generator. This is a bit concerning. Title, thumbnail blueprint, video script builder, YouTube SEO optimizer. These are all way too general. And this got 4 million views, which, I mean, it looks great on the surface, but it's so vague and kind of actually a little bit dangerous, particularly with the video idea generator. It's not very good, and it's not based on different niches. You're going to have to perform different things on different niches, and that's really the biggest concern here. So what I really want to show you in this video is how to actually use Claude as a YouTube strategist. Is ChatGPT any good with this? And I'm going to show you an even better way to do this with AI so that you can have really decent YouTube strategy, not just generic, not very good AI strategy. Now, the strategy in that post only works if you're finding the right ideas to build around. And the tool that I use for that part is vidIQ. The part I keep coming back to is Daily Ideas tab. You go in, you have a conversation with it about the kind of content that you're looking for, and instead of giving generic suggestions like other AI tools, it just pulls from your actual channel data, your top performing topics, your audience behavior, and what's actually working for you. That's a completely different output from what you'd be getting if you ask ChatGPT, Claude, or even Google Gemini for video ideas. Because vidIQ is looking at other channel outliers with your channel in context. Context for AI is extremely important, and the keywords tab is useful too, especially if you're trying to make search-based content. Evergreen content is king as it continues to grow and get views years from now, just like some of the other videos like this one on the channel. It's still making me money today. You paste in your topic and it shows you the search volume for what you're looking for and also the competition level and a list of related keywords, as you may not have the best search term available, so it gives you some really good suggestions. So you're not just guessing at how to phrase your title. And then the outliers tab pulls up videos that are massively outperforming on your channel and also in your niche. An outlier is a video that is outperforming its channel's average. So a 2x multiplier means that a video is getting 2 times better than the average on that channel. You can even find videos that are doing 100 times better than average on a channel. That's what you really want to find. Those are good ideas. The higher the score, the better the idea is. Now, it's all about ideas, and the success of your video depends on them. So if you use the link in the description down below, you can actually get your first month for 98% off, and with that discount available through the link down below, or just go to vidiq.com/MurrayFrost. Give it a try and see what you think. It's one of my most favorite tools when it comes to YouTube growth and strategy, and I've used it for the 15 plus channels that I have and for the 4.5 billion organic views that I've generated on YouTube alone. Now, before I show you how to use these strategies properly, we do need to talk about why this shift from ChatGPT to Claude is happening, because it's not just creators jumping in on random trends. So why are people actually leaving ChatGPT for Claude? Here's what happened. Earlier in 2026, Anthropic publicly refused to let the US Department of Defense use Claude for mass domestic surveillance or autonomous weapons. A few days later, OpenAI signed a commercial deal with the Pentagon, and that one moment made a lot of people stop and think. The AI you use every day isn't just a tab you open. It's woven into how you think, how you plan, how you create, and that's your operating system. And when you start seeing it that way, who's running it and what they stand for really starts to matter a lot. But a lot of people were already frustrated before any of this even happened. The core complaint with ChatGPT is always the same. It's fast, It does what you ask, but the output reads like a template. So if you've ever used it to write a script or an email, you probably spent more time editing it than it saved you time for the most part if you wanted it to sound organic. Claude is more rigorous, so it kind of pushes back when logic has gaps. It flags things that you've missed. For someone making content every week that you want to try to make it sound like you and humanize it, that's a significant difference. And I use Claude for my writing. And that's something most people just don't realize about Claude until they actually start using it for a while. It can basically hold your entire YouTube strategy inside a single project. It understands your niche, your voice, the kind of videos you make, who you're trying to reach. So every time you open it, you're not just starting from zero or explaining your channel all over again. It already has the context. And another thing creators notice really quickly is the writing. Claude just writes better and it matches your voice. Not kind of similar, but actually very close to how you talk, especially if you give it the right information and when given the right context and info. If you give it a few examples of how you write, talk, your thought process, and your philosophy, kind of on what you do, it starts to pick up patterns. The way you structure your sentences, the pacing and tone, and the output ends up sounding a lot more like something you'd actually say, which matters a lot because with most AI tools these days, you spend half your time just editing the script to remove the AI sounding parts, like those M dashes, if you're familiar with the M dashes. And then there's the thinking side of Claude. Claude doesn't always just do exactly what you ask. If something in the idea doesn't sound or make sense, it'll actually point it out or suggest a different angle. Sometimes it'll question the structure or even offer a better hook for YouTube scripts if you're scripting. That kind of feedback is useful because instead of just generating ideas, it's actually helping you think more thoroughly about the strategy behind them. And if you're using the right tool in the right way, you get to have the result faster, and what it gives you is already matching closer to what your philosophy is and what you are actually trying to do. All right, so back to this X post really quick. The important thing to take into account here is that you're giving it very general information here. There's nothing about your channel, who you are, what you do, your writing style, your philosophy, what you believe. Maybe you have some hot takes on the topic or the area of conversation. It just doesn't have that context here. So yes, you can have a project like this in Claude that takes some of these things into account, but really the thing that you've got to also focus on is the fact that you've still got to give it information for it to understand. So let me just give you a little bit of an example of what this could look like. So now that you've finally switched to Claude, let me show you what it can do. So when you're in the projects tab with Claude, you can use this as a starting point. Now, when you create a new project, you can call it whatever you like. I'm just going to call it YouTube, and you could tell it what you want to achieve. You could be writing scripts with this content. You can have it be analyzing your YouTube channel, different things like that. But for this particular example, I'm just going to say that I'm going to have it write some scripts. So a couple of things that I've added here is the goal. You're going to be writing with my philosophy and my conversation, my speech patterns for a YouTube channel. I'm going to be essentially using my natural speaking patterns, and you're going to be scripting in a 5th grade reading level. That's very important. Keeping your scripts very basic and simple to understand is going to let you get so much better retention and viewer retention on your videos because people actually want to watch it, and it makes sense. So I'm going to create that project. Now what you can do is add instructions. You can tell it what you want, but you can also add files. So I love going into Google Docs, writing up SOPs, so standard operating procedures. And so I can literally just take this video if I wanted to, because it's been talking about my philosophy, how I talk, and the way I say things. And I can essentially just transcribe it and put it into a Google Doc. Download that as a .md file. That's essentially a markdown file, and you can upload that into Claude. Now, I need to make sure that I title it something like speech patterns or just something so that it understands what this document is for and what it's about. So I do the same thing with my philosophy, and I also do the same thing with my channel. Who my audience is, maybe if I'm selling a high ticket offer and what I'm selling and what product it is, I describe it so that it essentially can integrate that into my scripts as well. But what I've also been able to do is to tell it how to integrate my call to actions to my offer, essentially to brand deals, and essentially for whoever it is. That way, it doesn't sound like a disjointed call to action. It actually sounds like it's part of the video and part of the value. just like my YouTube Growth Accelerator program down below in the description. It shows you exactly how to integrate these strategies properly, then not just get views on YouTube, but get monetized within 90 days of creating a new YouTube channel, and it's going to help you generate much more money with not just YouTube AdSense, but also your offer as well. So my YouTube Growth Accelerator program with the link down in the description will essentially get you monetized in 90 days. And so I include call to action strategies like that in this video, and I put that into a file so that Claude can understand it. And so hopefully you even saw what I did there. That's the type of stuff that I'm gonna add here in these files. And then once I'm ready, I'm just gonna have a conversation with it. I could use my voice typing if I really want to with this button. It gets me the philosophy of the topic that I'm gonna talk about. So let's just say, I would like to script a video about how to use shorts to grow on a YouTube channel exclusively. So the main idea I want to focus on is it's the idea of the short. Some of the retention strategies are going to be you have to get at least 70% of people that do not swipe away from your short. And I want to make sure that the strategy that we promote is that the idea is king. The content is secondary. It doesn't matter how good or high quality your video is, it's all about the idea. So now I can just hit enter and it'll actually just script the video exactly how I want it to, and I don't have to worry about it missing the mark, and it'll focus on the things that I want to focus on in my videos. It has my philosophy on the particular topic that I'm scripting, but it also, as a whole, understands my philosophy to the niche in general. Now, this is great for writing scripts, but for YouTube strategy, ChatGPT has got a long way to go. ChatGPT's model talks to a lot of people like it's conversation style, and it affirms you really no matter what. So you could be essentially delusional in your thinking, and it could say, that sounds great, when really it's not. And Claude essentially goes against that thinking a lot more, or at least it challenges it a bit more often. They don't just affirm you whenever you have a good idea or bad. It essentially can tell you, yes, that's a good idea, or no, it's a bad idea, and here's what you should do instead. You can essentially tell it, here's the output you wanted, but actually it could be better, and here's why. Now, there's another way that you can kind of use AI to get some YouTube philosophy and strategy, and I'll show you exactly what that is right here. So here's where I'm really going to blow your mind. With the YouTube channel dashboard here, you may have to give Claude a couple of permissions, but once you've installed the browser extension of Claude, this is exciting. There's two ways you can do this. One is, let me just close this for a second, it's using the Gemini AI YouTube Studio feature, and I found that it's actually not that reliable. It's not great. It can give you basic analytics and statistics and things like that, but if you really want to dive into strategy, it's not really going to help you. So if I go to the Claude extension here, I can literally tell it to analyze my YouTube channel here and tell me which videos are performing well within the last 30 days and what topics I should continue to pursue and what topics I should stop avoiding and why. So I asked it a very basic procedure here, and it's going to ask me, here's the plan, here's what we're going to do, and then I have to approve it. But what I could also do is ask it to then generate kind of like a package for brands to tell them, here's what I get for my average views. And you can see this in real time, what it's doing with my channel. It's clicking buttons and going into my analytics. Pretty cool. I'm going to let this play while I'm talking. But you can also tell it to create a Google Doc that shows my YouTube analytics, what my average views per video is, what I charge, and what my media package looks like for a sponsored video. And they can basically create a Google Doc for me as long as it has the permissions necessary. It'll ask you for permissions as you go, so you don't have to like have everything set up right away. It'll say, oh, I ran into this issue, I need access to your Google Docs, can you give me access? And you can say approve and so on. But you can see it's literally looking at my most popular videos, key moments, what's doing well, what's not. It's pretty impressive what it's doing here on the screen, and it's taking screenshots so that ideally, even if I wanted to put this in a Google Doc, it can include screenshots and things like that. And so it's pretty phenomenal. So I'm going to let it do its thing. It's scrolling by itself. I'm not touching the mouse at all. It's pretty mind-blowing. And it's basically my YouTube strategist going into YouTube and telling me basically the answers to the question that I have here. So I'll give it a second while it does its findings, and then we'll resume once it gets back. All right, so now you can see that it's putting all the information over here, and it's telling me my top videos and why. It's looked at the CTR, average view duration, views, all that kind of stuff. So it's basically showing the information that it's sourcing. And now it's going to talk about the strategy. This particular channel is about arc raiders. Pretty fun game. And I've actually been using AI to create these videos. So $1,400 for probably 15 minutes of work per video. It's pretty easy stuff. So topics to avoid, topics significantly, deprioritize, things like that. So this is where AI strategy really shines, especially once it can look up into your data. And so vidIQ does something extremely similar, and you connect it to vidIQ as well, which is pretty impressive. So vidIQ has your YouTube data, and I'll make another video about that in the future as well. But vidIQ does give you the ability to analyze your content data. So you can grab a 98% discount with the link in the description. Definitely give it a try. It's not just for strategy either. So it's for thumbnails, SEO, video ideas. You can essentially have so many things and connect it to Claude, like I mentioned. But I do love Claude a lot for scripting and for the reasons that I've mentioned in this video. And if you've enjoyed it, you'll love this one where I'll show you how to revive a dead video and even potentially a dead channel. So go ahead and check that out.